Hi everyone, it's Melissa, and today I am sharing with you my list of 20 books for the BookTube Spin number 3. If you're not familiar, this is something hosted by Rick McDonnell. I will link his video below as well, but essentially every quarter throughout the year, he invites us to share a list of 20 books somewhere publicly, and then he spins a virtual wheel, and whatever number it lands on, we have to read the corresponding book from our list. I've had a really fun time mixing up my categories, each different BookTube spin. So I have new categories this time. One of the previous times I had the lowest rated books on my TBR as one of the categories. So I'm starting this spin off with the highest rated books from my Goodreads TBR. So book number 1 is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. I think most people are familiar with this book. It is the memoir from the victim of the Stanford rape case, and it's her telling her own story. Book number 2 is When Stars Are Scattered by Victoria Jamieson. This is a middle grade graphic novel following a couple of siblings, I think, who are Somali refugees in Kenya. Book number 3 is Sitting Pretty by Rebekah Taussig. This is a memoir or essay collection about Rebekah's life with a disability. Book number 4 is Dancing at the Pity Party, which I actually own this one. So this is by Tyler Fetter, a dead mom graphic memoir. So I've mentioned on my channel before, I'm really interested in books that deal with grief and loss and how we process that. So I am very excited to get to this some point this year. Book number 5 is Mouse by Art Spiegelman. So this is a graphic memoir. Well, it's not his memoir, but it's his father's story of surviving the Holocaust, essentially. And it's a graphic memoir where the Nazis are depicted as cats and the Jewish people are depicted as mice. And it's one of these, like, it always comes up on lists of like best graphic novels. So I really want to get to that. Obviously I want to get to all of these. Book number 6 is In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. Another memoir, because I love memoirs. This is her memoir being in an abusive relationship and with another woman, which I think is a narrative we don't hear very often. Another thing that struck me about this memoir is I've heard that each different chapter or section is told in a different style. So that also intrigued me. Book number 7 is A Mind Spread Out on the Ground by Alicia Elliott. Elliott is an Indigenous Canadian writer, and this, I want to say this is memoir as well. It definitely touches on different trauma, like different intersections of trauma, being Indigenous, like facing racism, mental illness. It sounds like a lot, but it's one that I've heard a lot of people speak very highly of. Book number 8 is The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. This is a middle grade novel about a girl and her brother who have to evacuate during the Blitz, during the Second World War, and it's about found family and all that kind of stuff. Book number 9 is Grass by, I forgot to write down the author's name, but I will put it below. This is yet another graphic memoir, and it tells the story of the author's time when she was captured. She's Korean and she was captured by Japanese imperial forces during the Second World War. And it sounds awful and horrendous, but another graphic memoir that is spoken very highly of. And book number 10 is What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About Fat by Aubrey Gordon. I can't remember exactly what this book is about, but I suspect based on the title that it is about like diet culture and fat phobia. That's what I'm hoping, at least. So those are the top 10 highest rated on my Goodreads TBR. The next category I have, I'm just calling chunkers. These are books that are like over 500 pages. I'm finding myself like leaving large books on my shelf and not picking them up. So I thought if I put them on this list, maybe that will kind of like spur me to read some longer novels. So book number 11 is Birds Without Wings by Louis de Bernières. I don't know anything about this book. Oh my gosh, I'm dropping my books. I don't know anything about this book. I picked it up at a secondhand shop purely because of the author. He wrote Captain Corelli's Mandolin, which I loved, so I would love to read something else by him. And I haven't heard anyone talk about that book. Book number 12 is The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood. I have read 3 Atwoods. One I have loved, one I really disliked, and the third one I was kind of lukewarm over. So I would like to read more Atwood because I do find her writing absolutely just beautiful. So I'd like to read some more just to see if I can find some more loves in there, you know? Book number 13 is A Brief History of 7 Killings by Marlon James. I picked this up at a secondhand shop because last year I read The Book of Night Women by Marlon James, and it was my favorite book of the year and the best book I've read in many years. So I would love to read more by Marlon James. I don't exactly remember what this is about, but I know it has a lot of violence. I think there's some like experiences with drugs and all sorts of very intense stuff. Book number 14 on my list is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I haven't read a Steinbeck in ages. I've read 3 other Steinbecks. I think I've liked them all, and 2 of them I thought were fabulous. I really loved Of Mice and Men, and especially Grapes of Wrath. And East of Eden is another of his more famous books, so I would really love to read this. And book number 15 is Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. I've never read any Gaskell, and I hear a lot of great things about her books, so I would love to give her a try as well. So my last category of books is rereads. So number 16, I'll probably go through these kind of fast because most of them are pretty famous. So number, what did I say, 16 is Ray Bradbury, is Fahrenheit 451, sorry, by Ray Bradbury. So this is classic dystopian. I haven't read it since high school, so I would like to kind of like refresh my memory about that book. Book number 17 is Life of Pi by Yann Martel. I read this, I think, like over 10 years ago, and I was completely captivated while reading it, so I would love to read that again. Book number 18 is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. Again, I haven't read this in over 10 years. This was a weird reading experience for me, and it took me a long time to get into the book, but once I was finally in it, I was just like sucked into this vortex, and it was one hell of a ride, and I would love to reread it and hope that I will be able to get into it quicker having read it before, because I think there are a lot of layers left for me to peel back with this book. Book number 19 is Watership Down by Richard Adams. This is a weird little book about bunnies. I mean, it's not really about bunnies, it's about society, but it's about bunnies, and I remember it being pretty emotional. I have like a vague recollection of this book. I don't remember the specifics, which is one reason I would like to read it again, but I do remember highly enjoying it. And then finally, book 20 is something I've actually read fairly recently, Split Tooth by Tanya Tagaq. I read this last February or March, and it is based on her experiences, but it's not like a straight memoir or anything. It is fiction, but it's about a girl growing up in the Arctic Circle, and it is weird, but in very interesting ways, and there's just so much to it that even though I've read it recently, I'm just compelled to read it again and see like what else I can glean from this book, because there's a lot in here. So those are my list of 20 books. If you are participating in the BookTube Spin, please comment below where you have your list up. I would like to go check it out. Thank you as always for watching, and we'll chat soon. Take care. Bye.